Very intense today in the courtroom as Judge Clifton Newman was giving his sentencing. I talked about this being personal for Alan Wilson. We heard in his sentencing today him saying it was personal for him too. He said he knew Alec, he knew his grandfather, and he knew the family.
Absolutely, yes. And Judge Newman, he used those words duplicitous and also saying troubling in his bringing down of this, decision of this sentencing before sentencing Alex Murdaugh to 2 full life sentences consecutively in one of the most troubling cases in the nation. A tense and anxious courtroom this morning as Judge Clifton Newman walked in to deliver the fate of Alex Murdaugh, who a 12-member jury found guilty Thursday night after about 3 hours of deliberation. Creighton Waters, the state's lead prosecutor on the case, told the judge that the prosecution didn't have any victims to speak, but offered condolences to the Murdaugh family.
We have tried very hard to be respectful and sensitive regardless of what position any person took, because this family has suffered and they've had to suffer in the public eye. And I want to offer my condolences to this family. I want to offer it for Maggie and Paul and Mr. Randolph too, who I had the pleasure of working with on one occasion.
Dick Harpootlian, Murdaugh's lead defense attorney, said they had no comment, but that the defendant would like to address the court. Murdaugh, up until the end, maintained he was innocent in these crimes.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm innocent. I would never hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never hurt my son, Paw.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Judge Newman then addressed Murdaugh, saying that his family has controlled justice in the community for over a century, and that it's a shame such a friendly person with such a lovely family went from that to where he is today. Judge Newman said Murdaugh turned from a lawyer to a witness. Newman went on to say he couldn't imagine the situation Murdaugh was in, being pressed by confrontation about stealing money, with another lawyer pursuing financial discovery in a case involving his son, and with Murdaugh's father on his deathbed. Newman said amazingly, Murdaugh testified that it was just another day, and then delivered his decision.
Mr. Murdaugh, I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each of the murder indictments in the murder of your wife, Maggie Murdaugh. I sentence you for the term of the rest of your natural life for the murder of Paul Murdaugh, whom you probably loved so much. I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life. Those sentences will run consecutive.
Now, after 29 days, 6 weeks, dozens of witnesses, and hundreds of pieces of evidence, now Alex Murdaugh is in the custody of the South Carolina Department of Corrections. He'll stay there for about 45 days before he's moved on to a maximum security prison.
You know, I'm glad you used that sound bite in there of Judge Clifton Newman saying you tried to convince us that June 7th was just an ordinary day for you. He said it's not credible and it's not believable after we know all of the things that were crashing down on him on June 7th.
Right, absolutely. They put all of those pieces together in that timeline, in those closing arguments, those prosecutors did.
All right, well, we will